So first of all, I want to say that normally when you're in a court, such as this court, you would face the bench. But I'm relieved to say that I'm still talking to an awful lot of judges out there, so I feel safe. And secondly, Barbara, do you want to read another speech? Because you did a great job. But in any event, good morning. I'm very proud to be here representing the tens of thousands of members of the New York State Bar Association around the world. And I'm honored to be among this very distinguished group, including our Chief Judge, Rowan Wilson, and our Court of Appeals. Also, I'm honored to be with Assistant Attorney General Barbara Underwood, and virtually with Tish James as well. And with, of course, our first Deputy Chief Administrative Judge, Norman St. George, and all of the judges and other distinguished guests that have joined us today. I'd like to congratulate the honorees who are going to be receiving the Judith S. Kay Awards, each of whom, in their own way, is a hero and represent the greatness of our democracy. The New York State Bar Association has had the privilege of working with our courts and with the Chief Judge and the Chief Administrative Judge and Judge St. George in discussing our common goals, which is to enhance the rule of law and to protect our democracy. We've worked together on many issues, and we at the State Bar really appreciate the open door that the court has had for us, and we are very pleased that we can have these very frank discussions, which have hopefully led to some very good analysis of the issues that confront lawyers today. Today we celebrate how the law and the legal process protect the freedoms shared by all Americans. Our government structure is designed so that there can be debate, so that there can be civil discourse, and so that we can have our voices heard and we can hear the voices of others. Now, when you talk about civil discourse, it doesn't seem to be the rule today. And as Judge Wilson indicated in his speech last Law Day, this is not the first time in American history when society has acted with a lack of civility. But we are now at a pivotal point as we look towards the 60th presidential election in our nation's history. Our democracy is threatened by growing mistrust among our fellow citizens who doubt the effectiveness of our electoral process and who further doubt the good faith of almost anybody, including our candidates. An ABA survey that came out just last week indicated that 74% of those surveyed believe that our democracy is weaker than it was 5 years ago. Over 50% of respondents indicate that the general public does not understand how our democracy works. That may be a low percentage. The portrayal of partisan politics in the media reverberates not only throughout our country, but beyond our borders. An inability to compromise, an inability to hear each other speak and what we each have to say impedes our ability to form a consensus on strategic technological investments and negatively impacts economic policies and trade relations. All of this has helped to foster attitudes ranging from anger to indifference amongst our citizens regarding who their elected officials are, and that even extends to the local level. We have to address this detachment. We must ensure that elections matter. People, especially young people, need to know that their voices are being heard and that they have ears to hear other people's voices as well. They need to know that their votes are valued and that they can vote safely and with impunity and without fear of harassment because they may have a position that is different from others. We, including everyone in this room, have the unique power to help define our future. We must work towards the positive and not be entrenched in the bigotry and the hatred that seems to be permeating what's going on today. We need to not begin each interaction assuming that the other person is operating in bad faith. We have to be able to compromise. We don't live in a zero-sum society. Apathy has not always characterized the prevailing attitude of our youth. In the 60s, while there was plenty of protest and there was plenty of upheaval, most young people got more involved in politics in a positive way. And it was those that got involved that helped to spearhead the ratification of the 26th Amendment. Now, it doesn't seem as though these young people of today wish to get involved in these positive political issues. Lincoln's idea of, in the Gettysburg Address, of the people, by the people, and for the people, should have a modern interpretation as being inclusive. We, the people, come from every geographic region with diverse outlooks, diverse thoughts, diverse concerns, and diverse proposals for results. We can be Christians or Jews or Muslim, Asian, Black, Hispanic, or Caucasian, and we can also be of different sexual identities. We, the people, must be heard, and we, the people, must listen to the other we, the people. Law Day is a time to reflect on the fundamental promise of America. However, we cannot merely reflect. The theme, as you've heard, of this year's Law Day is Voices of Democracy, and we need to use our voices and let others use theirs to express opinions. This is the foundation of our democracy. We have to take on the responsibility of speaking out courageously and to not just live in an echo chamber and gravitate towards only people with whom we agree. We need to listen as well as speak. Overall, we're much more like each other than we are different. We have the same concerns for our children. We have the same concerns for our safety in our schools. However, political developments over the past decade have led to the misperception that our differences are so profound that we've lost our ability to compromise or even listen to one another. The mistrust that has crept into our political discourse has convinced many people that disregard or disagreement translates into a personal threat. This attitude has discouraged people from speaking out and has inhibited our ability to engage in civil debate. It's even resulted in people not going to various cocktail parties because of who might be there and who might be criticizing them. As lawyers, we have a role to play, and we need to use that role to ensure and promote the rule of law, as well as imparting civics knowledge to our citizens. One problem among young people and adults alike is that many of us are not very well informed about civics. We do not understand how our government works. The fact that the majority of people in America cannot name the three branches of government is appalling. This ignorance can turn out to be a nail in the coffin of democracy. We've got to correct that trend. We again have a responsibility to encourage Americans to participate in elections. It has been found that people who vote one year will vote the following year. Voting is habit forming. We've got to do whatever we can to get our young people voting. But it's not just the voting. It's understanding what they're voting for. It's listening to all the voices of we the people and having an idea as to the direction that they want this country to go. The New York State Bar Association is committed to doing just that. One of our missions is to educate and inform the public, and that's why we are hosting a civics convocation on this very topic next week, May 9th. Our aim is to ensure New Yorkers understand what the United States Constitution guarantees and why the history of our democracy is important, both the high points and the low points. It all happened. We have to be aware of it, and our voters have to be aware of it. We must learn from both the events that we are rightfully so proud of and for the blemishes that we are so ashamed of. Chief Judge Wilson will be our keynote speaker, and U.S. Supreme Court Associate Justice Sonia Sotomayor will deliver virtual remarks at the Bar Center, and the Associate Justice will also take questions from students. This is a rare opportunity, and we're hoping that it's going to inspire a lot of these students, and their inspiration rubs off on others. We've tried to make this a very egalitarian affair. We don't want just honor students. We want all students, and we've taken steps to do that. Greater youth involvement in politics and elections is imperative to our survival, and we need to have these kids grow up and understand what our country is about, what our government is about. We have to have them understanding what their options are as far as voting, and we have to start this with education that begins in kindergarten. We can't just wait until somebody is 35 years old and try to explain it. Kids have to be taught civics. In any event, it is imperative that we advocate for our youth and for the future of democracy. We do that by promoting civil exchange of ideas to ensure that their voices and our voices are all heard. It's extremely important that we speak up, and equally important that we listen. So in closing, I would like to thank the court for again hosting this Law Day event, and I again want to congratulate today's honorees of the Judith S.K. Service Awards. Thank you.